One vote for second one. Anybody else in the crowd to vote for second one? Please join Shreya.
The first one.
The first one?
Yeah, for me, the first one.
Yeah. All right. So beat the drums. So there's no right or wrong answer, but it's kind of like, let's go with general, like the way everyone is saying, and the way, because again, different perspective. There's no right and wrong and thing as such. But yes, the first one is actually the way the Shakespeare had actually recite or have read the importance of using stress and unstressed syllables in a poetic line. There is one more, and then we will jump onto the poetic devices. So I wandered lonely as a cloud. So which one is stress and which one is unstress?
I believe this is how I'm hearing it. I wandered lonely as a cloud. So I think the stress is on one and lone and as, and maybe the first part of cloud. I don't know.
No, you were really close. Trust me, Karen, you really did a wonderful job there because it was tricky for me as well, in the first time itself. Nobody
Yeah, the
gets
last part is tripping me up. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were almost there. You were this close. Okay, we have Haliat who raised her hand. Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I'd love to. So the way I see it is the stress level there is I wandered lonely as a cloud.
So here, which one would you say are stressed one?
The stress levels there are wandered, lone, and cloud.
Wondered, like this whole as a stressed?
No, the dirt, like the dirt.
Dirt. Okay, this is stress.
Yes.
Dirt.
And lone, and cloud.
And cloud the
And
whole.
cloud. Yes.
Okay, it's really a good try. It's half correct, half incorrect, but let me reveal the answer. So it's I wandered, lonely as a cloud. So this is the one. And again, so that is like how many? Now count it. We have like one, I wanted, lonely. So again here. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we call it? Like which meter is it?
Iambic? No,
Yes.
right? Trochaic. No, I'm getting confused.
It's iambic, you are right.
Was iambic. Go with your first choice. Yes.
So enough of rhythm and meters. Let's quickly jump onto the poetic devices. There are so many poetic devices. You can use like metaphors, alliteration, similes, assonance, like so many poetic devices out there. And again, in history, if you, that's why I always recommend to all my colleagues, writers, or whosoever I come across who share the same passion as me in terms of poetry, that read classics. The reason why I recommend to read classics, because there you will come across through so many poetic devices that will eventually give you the basic foundation of taking those poetic devices to the next level. So what are these poetic devices? So basically these are like literary techniques used by poet to enhance the meaning, sound, and imagery of their poetry. These devices often play with language and structure to create a specific effect or evoke certain emotions in the reader. So for this particular workshop, again, we cannot discuss all of them. So I just listed out top 5. So this include metaphors, similes, alliteration, assonance, and onomatopoeia. So again, these tools, they add layers of meanings. And the more you add meanings to your poem, like the more depth it will create to reader's mind. And it will also give you a huge round of applause and appreciation and recognition because it's not easy as it sounds. Metaphor here is, of course, like a comparison between two unlike things, suggesting that one thing is another. For example, her eyes were stars twinkling in the night. So of course, her eyes are not stars. It's not in literal sense. It's, of course, a poetic device. It's a metaphor. So her eyes were stars. Maybe it can represent, she has that spark in her eyes. Again, which is again another metaphor. So her eyes are like hopeful. So it can represent, contemplate so many meanings. Twinkling in the night. Twinkling may or may not be, or it can refer to the blinking in the night or shining in the night. Metaphor is basically two unlike things. So again, one is like living, non-living, or like it's a really contrary to each other. Okay. Moving on to the next one, simile. What is simile? Basically, it is a comparison between two unlike things using like or as. So these are like basic rules. You should always, whenever you are using simile in your poem, then you have to use like or as. It's a compulsion. Okay. So let's take a look at an example. He was as brave as a lion. So here again, we can see the poet is using like as, here as. So that's how you will get to know that that poetic structure, that poetic line is contains simile poetic devices or not. Anybody would like to give another example for simile?
I think of a Christmas Story when, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's an old classic movie. And one of the lines is, my brother Randy laid there like a slug. It was his
Yeah.
only, yeah. So I don't know if that's a good example.
No, it's a perfect example, actually. So similarly, like you have to use like or as, just remember that. And it's always a comparison between two unlike things. Okay. Then moving on to the next, it's alliteration. Alliteration is basically repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of the words. So here, for example, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Tongue twisters can be a perfect example for alliteration. But again, going into the deep definition, like you can see here, there is a repetition of consonant sound like Peter, P, peck, picker, pepper. So you can see like there are so many like P's here. And you get, if you, I haven't pronounced it so correctly, but if you pronounce it correctly, like you can see the consonant sounds quite, it's always at the beginning and it's on the repetition. So that gives you the alliteration altogether. I was going through the chat and Karen, thank you. Yeah, it was actually she sells by the seashore. The first one is she sells.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Then thank you. I've almost forgot this one. It's one of my favorite tongue twisters.
I was doing some alliteration there.
Good one. The next is assonance. Assonance is basically repetition of vowel sounds within nearby words. So basically, it doesn't necessarily have to be similar, like it can start from different letters, it can ends up with different letters, but the vowel, that makes that's make assonance. So let us understand with an example here. The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plains. So here you can see the rain. So AI, the AI here, and the Spain, again, AI, mainly AI. And again, N is also there. Yes, N is also there. So repetition of vowel sound within nearby words. So these are vowels and N is your just a letter. So ain, Spain, mainly. Again, it doesn't have to be and or in the beginning, like it can be in the middle as well, in the plains. So that gives you the assonance sound. And again, trust me, all these poetic devices, when you smartly craft into your poem, it really does gives beautiful impact, because I have personally tried in all my poems and they do get selected for a reason. Be experimental. Don't be afraid that whether it's a correct, whether it's polished. No, be experimental. Just go for it. Then coming to the last one, onomatopoeia. So what is that? Basically, words that imitate sounds. Usually you will find this in children's book or in children's poetry. So here you can see buzz, hiss, clang, murmur. So as I said, practice makes men perfect. So now after discussing it in depth, let's jump onto the exercise. So what you have to do, you have to apply different form of poetic devices such as metaphor, simile, alliteration, assonance, and onomatopoeia applied to this particular sentence. The sentence is, the wind was loud. So you have to use your imagination, your personal experience, your knowledge, everything all together, whatever you know about poetry. The wind was loud. How can you write this into a better way using poetic devices? The wind roared like a lion. So here you can see we have used simile. I'll give you the top one, which is here. The moonlight shimmered on the calm waters of the lake. Whosoever is done, please feel free to unmute or raise your hand, share it with us in the chat. Mike, who have used this sentence into a beautiful line, he uses simile as a poetic device. The moonlight shimmered on the calm waters of the lake, like your eyes when the day is done and are content and still. Magic moonlight shimmered on the calm waters of the lake. Okay, James, can you kindly tell us like which poetic device are you intended to use to this particular verse?
That's alliteration or assonance.
Yeah, I think it will be more or less like alliteration. Okay, we have the next one, Karen, and let me read. She smiled at him with such ease, like the moonlight shimmering on the calm waters of the lake. Okay, good one. That's a good one. Oh, I completely forget that this is a workshop. I have to finish it at one point as well. But it's so fruitful. Like it's the conversation is flowing, and everyone is putting their craft into practice. This is exactly what I expected from this workshop. And amazing. A huge round of applause to each and every one of you. So again, poetic devices, like it helps you a lot to be playful with your craft. So make the most use of it. Practice, read more and more poem. Also, I would strongly suggest use lots of proverbs. I have written like, the moonlight was a silvery veil draped over the tranquil lake. So here again, you can see we are using the metaphor, which is again not the literal sense. There is no silver veil over the lake. It's just a way of saying that's what metaphor is all about. Now the next is assonance. The moonlight shone on the long calm road. So here you have to use the vowel. Remember, assonance is for vowels, repetitions of vowels to the within the nearby words. The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plains. So here in, if you guys remember. So here the moonlight shone. So here, oh, you can see there are so many O. Moonlight shone on the long calm road. Recite it with the feelings, like don't read it. Poetry is not meant for reading. It is meant for reciting. Okay, so keep that in mind. So moving on to this next, that is structure and followed by theme. First thing, even anybody who is coming across your poem, the first thing that they're gonna notice is the structure, is the whole framework of the poem. How does it look? How does it appear? Before even jumping onto, reciting it, going into the depths and meaning, the first thing they come across, there are two actually, the title of the poem and the structure of the poem. If you nail these first two things, then you have already won half the race. Because if your title is captivating, if your poetic structure is near to educate, or it is something. So here, again, there are different types of structures in poetry, such as sonnets, which is like 14 lines. Then we have haiku, which is like 5 lines. And then we have free verses. Free verses basically like freestyle. As we have already discussed, how does it's going to sound? Now we are focusing on how it's going to look like. What's the why the appearance is so important? Because you have already pleased your ears. Now you have to soothe your eyes, in the sense like it should look. So what is haiku? So basically it is a 3-line with a syllable pattern, 5 7 5. For example, the first would be 5, like there should be 5 syllables, and the second line must have 7 syllables, followed by again 5. So let's jump into the exercise. So this one here is, you have to write a haiku about nature or a personal experience. Take a few minutes to compose your haiku. There are numerous type of haikus as well. There are like 3 5 3 as well as 5 7 5. So again, haiku has different type, and it's a short poem without rhymes. Like you don't necessarily have to rhyme it. So again, haiku has both a traditional and modern. So it might differ like from country to country. According to the recent studies, haiku writing has increased by 40% among poetry enthusiasts in the last 5 years. So it's prevailing out there. So be the part of it. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be 5 7 5 structure. It can be 3 5 3 as well. Because it's a Japanese, so it has like tanka that I can remember of, tanka, haiban. So it comes in various forms and shape. But this is in general, like typically, they use 5 7 5 in general. Okay, let me quickly read. Morning campfire smoke rises and curls above pines. Meadow larks sing song. We have Sanchari on stage. Sanchari, would you like to unmute and recite your haiku? Spring whispers into the heart of young lovers, sweet nothings of love. Gayatri has written small sparrow singing, green leaves and flowers unfurl, a new dawn begins. Eliza, would you like to unmute and recite your haiku, please?
Sorry. I bought rugs at Peace at Home thrift store on Wednesday. They were $6.
You. Being reasonable or being relatable is also most as crucial and essence part of poetry. Like, it should it should resonate with readers. And it really gives me that grounding granularity, this particular haiku. Thank you so much, Eliza. Loved it. Chai is my morning, sweet with cardamom and milk. Extra hot is best.
It's my new Starbucks order now. I'm just going to do everything in haiku now to Starbucks.
Lovely, lovely. So last we will discuss emotion and theme. So basically, it is one of the most crucial, the most significant part of the, mastering the art of poetry. If there is no theme, what it's gonna lead to? It's gonna lead your craft into something chaos, something that will give the readers uneasy feeling, because everything is so out of place. It doesn't have any emotion to it. It doesn't follow a particular theme. Maybe in the first stanza you are talking about nature, the willows, the river, the lake, the swan, whatnot. But in the second stanza you are somehow talking about Tanzania wild forest, or the tigers, the giraffe. No, it doesn't go like that. Like, it will still fall under the nature poetry, but no, it would be a horrible, horrible poem. So it's very important, like when you are inculcating emotion and theme to your poem, make sure, like stanza by stanza, it follows a particular theme. So maybe the first stanza you can begin with creating suspense, make the readers to read what happened next. Or so, the curiosity, like try to embed it into your first stanza, because that's also make any editor of any publisher to read further that, hey, what this poem is about. So again, in order to attain that, you have to really focus on what is your thought processing. Like your thoughts must be clear. You should not be confused in the first place. Yeah, as I was saying, so connect your emotions to the theme. Is your writing coming from your heart or brain? That is a real question. And the answer is you need both. Because again, your heart will help you to guide towards the feeling, towards the sentiments, like what to write, what not to, and your brain will help you to organize it. There are 3 points that keep it into mind. So again, whatever your emotions, like make sure you are connecting with the readers through your verses. It's not only about just to express yourself, but forge a connection there. Okay. Second would be expressing human experience. You can talk about your experience. That's totally fine. Like, it can be as simple as that. The crowded subway that I take every morning or every evening, I can see, lethargic bodies flash or hearts. Like you can, weave the whole story based on the human experience on common grounds. One thing I would like to bring everyone's attention is, as I've been going through reading submissions, there is like a artificiality that I can see in their poem. Maybe they are just so much focused on winning that particular contest that they are using this posh vocabulary and everything, but it's not yielding any emotion. Never ever be afraid of bringing granularity into your poem. Lastly, depth and meaning. Depth and meaning, it's through poetic devices, what I personally feel, because poetic devices helps you to add layers, like behind the words. That's what we say, behind this so and so poetic lines. What is the hidden depth and meaning? And trust me, readers, poets, whosoever are English laureates, they love to find hidden meanings. All right. So on that note, it's all done. Gavin, hi, I can see you.
I just had a small haiku, and it's the first one I've actually ever written, as it's just getting dark over here in Ireland. But I've never actually written a haiku before. So what about this one? This was very good. I appreciate it now. See you soon, Ruchi.
Thank you so much, Gavin. For those who don't know, Gavin has been a constant contributor since past couple of years at Wingless Dreamer. We totally admire your work, and it's so good to see you in person as well. It's lovely.
I have to say it was brilliant now, and it's always good because I teach guitar as well. I'm doing that for a very long time, but it's always good. This is why I do it, is because it's always good to kind of go back to the core of what it's about, to sort of to kind of move forward so that you don't kind of lose sight of those things. So I think I thought it was really brilliantly done. So thank you very much for this.
Oh, we have Karen. You raised your hand. Please feel free to unmute.
Just wanted to say it's so lovely to meet you. You published my short story, Mystery Door, in your All Hallows Eve anthology last year, which I was delighted to be a part of. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your very lovely publishing company. And that book was just really well written. So many beautiful pieces in there. So thank you. And I look forward to more opportunities. I have some more things that I want to be writing about. So hopefully, and maybe some poetry. So thank you again.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, for such a kind and considerate words. And of course, everyone, all of you are welcome to, participate in our writing contest because it's challenging, it's fun, and who win, who lose, it's so much going on there. As well as one last note that I would like to share with you all, I really want to forge this as a literary community, and we should do this more often. Like it can be just an hour chit chat as well, because it's just giving such a positive vibe. And being a poet by myself, being a writer by myself, it's a bit lonely out there. But this is something that we all can, come from different parts of the world and share our insights and conduct workshops. So let's forge a strong literary community Let's come up with vivid topics and subject to discuss. Maybe next could be perhaps the Egyptian literature. You may never know. Just kidding. But yes, let's keep it up. We have Haliat who raised her hand. Please go ahead.
I enjoyed your lecture. I'd say I've attended many writing classes and poem classes, but this is like my first, let me call it international poetry class, like where different countries are come together to learn. So I'd say my two of my poems I've published because I'm just a starter of poem. I started about 2 years ago and I'm still schooling. So two of my poems have been published with a known community, which is the Lagos Literary Cycle. But I was always wondering that could I be possibly good at this, that like two of my poems have been published the moment I joined the community. So but tonight I learned that there is more for me to do and there's more for me to work on. So I appreciate you for your lecture. I appreciate so much. I don't know what I would have done if I had not, signed up for this mastery poetry class. And I'm a person that is very passionate about poetry, so I want to go deep into it. And I appreciate for your insightful lecture. I look forward to more of this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Haliat, once again. Oh my gosh, that's getting emotional, but really, it means a lot to me. And like I said, like I'll try my best, to make it a fully fledged literary community, where artists and poets like they can feel a safe space, to speak out loud their emotions, and we can discuss, about their work, criticize, like constructive criticism can be made. There are so many ideas that can pop up, and of course, I'm just an email away. You can contact me anytime, and winglessdreamer.com. Please don't forget to go there, and there you can see so many things. Like we are active on YouTube videos, Spotify podcast, where we invite guest speakers. Please feel free to reach out if you would like to participate in our Spotify podcast as well. We can come together and discuss on an interesting topic or subject all together. Just make sure it all has to find its thread back to English literature. So that's really it. On that note, I'll bid everyone farewell. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and making this workshop successful. And keep it up, keep writing, keep the garden of poets growing, and never ever give up on your dream.